Today we are looking at 100, yes 100 tips and tricks for the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, including functions and features you maybe didn't know existed. But these tips should also help you get better photos and videos, learn more about the available settings, and how to use the DJI Mic 2 to get great audio. Let's get straight into it with the first super useful tip, and that is that you can actually use the DJI Mic 2 as a remote control. So if you are using the Pocket 3 to capture yourself and you have the Mic 2 linked to it, but it's beyond arm's reach, you can actually start or stop a video recording by simply pressing the link button on the side of the Mic 2. And if you are in photo mode and you press this link button, the Pocket 3 will capture an image. Now with the Pocket 3, you can capture something called a spin shot, which allows you to get these really cool rotating clips. And the best part is the gimbal will do this movement for you automatically. To be able to do this, you first want to tap the Smart Gimbal Mode button on the left side of the screen. And then if you select the third option down on the left, you will enter Spin Shot Mode. Now in here you can choose between having the gimbal automatically rotate 90 degrees or 180 degrees. If you select the 90 degree option, you will want to hold the Pocket 3 vertically, and then to start the gimbal rotating left or right, you simply want to tap the anti-clockwise or clockwise button on the screen. If you select the 180 degree option, you will want to hold the Pocket 3 horizontally. And again, to start the gimbal automatically rotating, you simply want to tap the rotation button on the screen. Then I recommend hitting record and pushing forward as the gimbal rotates to get this really awesome clip. Now something you might not know is that the DJI Mic 2 has a noise cancellation setting that helps reduce ambient sounds to make your voice clear. Now to turn this setting on, you simply want to press the power button on the side of the Mic 2. If you press the power button once, the status LED will turn yellow to signify that noise reduction is on. And if you press the power button again, the status LED will change to blue, signifying noise reduction is now off. Now, if you're not using the Mic 2 and are using the internal Pocket 3 microphones on a windy day, there is also an option to turn on wind noise reduction. To do this, again, swipe from right to left on the screen. Again, make sure you're in Pro mode, and then you want to tap this microphone icon along the top. And then you will see an option called Wind Noise Reduction, and by tapping on this, you can turn it on. Now, something I've noticed after using the Pocket 3 to capture footage with over the past few weeks is that if you're using automatic exposure mode, it does tend to expose slightly too bright, leading to situations where you have footage where the highlights are blown out or overexposed. Now to fix this, I recommend lowering the exposure compensation value. Now exposure compensation is a way of telling the Pocket 3 you don't quite agree with the exposure settings it's giving you for a certain scene, allowing you to tell the Pocket 3 to expose brighter or darker than it thinks is correct. Now to change this setting, you simply want to swipe from right to left on the screen. Again, make sure you're in Pro mode and then select the exposure setting. Now on the left side of the screen, you will see our exposure compensation value. If you increase this value, the image will get brighter, and if you decrease this value, the image will get darker. Now the setting I recommend changing this to is negative 0.3, and this will tell the Pocket 3 to expose ever so slightly darker, and in my testing this means you will get better exposed images and are less likely to get overexposed or blown out highlights. Now you can also adjust the exposure compensation while recording a video. So if you go into a dark area like a forest and you want to increase the brightness, instead of having to stop recording, simply swipe from right to left on the screen, and this will bring up the exposure compensation slider. And now you can slide upwards on this slider to increase the exposure compensation and therefore increase the brightness of the video. And this is great because it means you don't need to stop recording to dive into them deeper setting menus. Now when you switch to vertical recording mode on the Pocket 3, the footage changes to 3K from 4K, which I personally think is fine for platforms like Instagram. I personally upload all my reels to Instagram in 1080p, as Instagram compresses the footage if you record in too high a quality. However, if you have a project which requires 4K vertical video, then I have a hack that allows this to be possible on the Pocket 3. Start by leaving your Pocket 3 in landscape mode and then rotate the Pocket 3 slowly until the gimbal flips around to a vertical orientation. and now record your video holding the Pocket 3 this way. And this allows you to capture vertical video while retaining 4K resolution. If you're using the DJI Mic 2 and you find the LED lights on the transmitter to be distracting in your video, you can actually turn these off. To do this, you want to swipe down from the top of the Pocket 3 screen and then select the settings icon. Then you want to select the wireless mic option. And then if you scroll down, you will see an option called LED. And if you turn this off, the LEDs on the Mic 2 transmitter will now turn off. If you're out on location and the DJI Mic 2 runs out of battery, you can actually charge it using the battery extension handle for the Pocket 3. Simply attach the battery handle extension into the Pocket 3 and then attach the DJI Mic 2 to it using the USB-C to USB-C cable. Then, once the battery handle has charged the Pocket 3 to 100%, it will start charging the DJI Mic 2. Now this next one can be super confusing and frustrating if you don't understand why it's happening. If you're using the joystick to move the gimbal and you can move it left or right, fine, but you can't rotate the gimbal upwards or downwards. Instead, when you push that joystick up or down, the camera's zooming in or out, and you don't understand why, it's because you've accidentally entered zoom mode. Now to get out of zoom mode, you simply want to tap this icon here on the right side of the screen, and then you will be able to move the gimbal upwards or downwards using that joystick again. Now the way you know if you're in zoom mode or not is that this icon will show a 1x symbol when you're not in zoom mode, and it will show no symbol when you are in zoom mode. Now this has caught me out a few times because if you're swiping from right to left on the screen to bring up the camera settings, you can sometimes accidentally tap that zoom icon without realizing it, and then not understand why you can't move your gimbal upwards or downwards anymore. Now if you're new to gimbals or the Pocket 3 and have went out and captured lots of footage, come home and watched it back, you might be quite surprised to find that your videos are bobbing up and down when you walk using the gimbal. Don't worry though, the fix for this is super simple. When capturing footage with the Pocket 3, you want to use something called the Ninja Walk. The Ninja Walk is a technique that involves keeping your knees bent, taking short steps, and walking heel to toe. If you imagine carrying a very full cup of a hot drink in your hand while trying not to spill any out of it, this is how you should be walking when operating the Pocket 3. And if you start using this technique, you'll notice less of that up and down bobbing motion in your videos, getting you smoother results. Now when the Pocket 3 was released, the HLG and D-Log-M color modes were only available in the standard video mode, but with a recent firmware update version 01.02.0604, you can now use these color modes in slow motion as well, so make sure to update your Pocket 3. However, something to be aware of is that these color modes are only available for 100 and 120 FPS slow motion. They become unavailable in 240 FPS slow motion, and they're not available in low light mode. Now, a question I see getting asked quite a lot is, can you record the audio from the internal microphones on the Pocket 3 and the audio from the DJI Mic 2 at the same time? And the answer is yes. If you swipe down from the top of the Pocket 3 screen and select the settings option and then scroll down, you will see an option called built-in mic audio backup. Now when you turn this on, the audio from the Mic 2 will get saved to the video file being recorded on the Pocket 3, but it will also store a separate audio file on the microSD card with the audio captured from the internal microphones at the same time. And this can allow you to do things like pick up the environment audio from the Pocket 3 while recording your voice using the Mic 2. So right now you are hearing the audio being recorded by the DJI Mic 2. But if this microphone fell off by accident, without me realizing it, ruining the audio, then having the built-in microphone on the Pocket 3 recording audio as a backup can save this clip, because I can just switch to that audio file instead when editing. Now when recording long videos on the old Pocket 2, you had a limit of 4 GB before it started to split the clips on your microSD card. So if you recorded a 30 to 40 minute clip, you would have found this as multiple files on your microSD card that you had to place back together in your video editing software. But with the Pocket 3, this video splitting limit has been increased to approximately 16 gigabytes, which in my testing is around 40 minutes of 4K 30 FPS video. So this means if you are recording a longer clip, such as an interview, you will have less clips to stitch back together. Now, something that you might be unaware of is the fact you can use the Pocket 3 as a high quality webcam. Simply connect the Pocket 3 to your computer using a USB cable connected to the USB-C port on the Pocket 3. And then once turned on, you will see an option to enter webcam mode and you will want to press this on the screen. Then you will be able to select the Pocket 3 as your webcam or camera input on a meeting app such as Zoom. Now, when the Pocket 3 is in webcam mode, you can swipe up from the bottom of the Pocket 3 screen to choose between two different frame rates. You can either select 1080p 25 or 30 FPS or 1080p 50 or 60 FPS. Active Track also works while using the Pocket 3 in webcam mode, and this will be great if you want to get up and move around your room while on a meeting and have the camera automatically follow you around to keep you in the frame. All you have to do is double tap on yourself on the screen until the green box appears around you and you see a message saying Active Track enabled, and now the camera will automatically follow you around as you move. Now, one of the really nice features when using the Pocket 3 as a webcam is that you can also use the audio being captured by the internal Pocket 3 microphones or the audio coming from the DJI Mic 2. So to do this, again, all you have to do with the Pocket 3 connected to your computer is set your audio input on your meeting app to the Pocket 3. And now the audio will be captured from the internal microphones on the Pocket 3, or if you turn on and connect the Mic 2 to the Pocket 3, the audio being captured on your computer will be coming from the Mic 2. Another new feature added with the latest firmware update is that the DJI Mic 2 transmitter will now automatically turn off if it hasn't been used for a while. If the DJI Mic 2 is not connected to the Pocket 3 and not recording for 15 minutes, it will automatically power off to save battery. Now, if you're capturing orbit moves with your Pocket 3, these movements can sometimes be tricky. You might find that your subject starts to drift off center as you move around it, or your rotation movements with the Pocket 3 results in jerky motion. Well, I have a top tip that allows you to get smoother orbits and do them easier every time. All you have to do is put your subject in the center of the frame and then double tap on it to enable tracking. And something you might not know is that tracking works for static objects too, and allows the gimbal to lock on to that subject so that as you move the gimbal around, it will always stay centered in your frame. Now, as you move around your point of interest, the Pocket 3 will automatically keep it centered, giving you a much smoother orbit. Now, if you're using auto exposure mode, as you move the gimbal around, the exposure will be constantly automatically changing. And while recording video somewhere where there are really bright and really dark areas, such as transitioning from indoors to outdoors or from the ground to the sky, this is something you don't want to happen, as these large shifts in exposure can look jarring in your footage, such as when panning down from the sky, for example. Now, to prevent this, before recording, you can do something called logging the exposure. Now, at the time of making this video, this is something you can only do on the Memo app when paired to the Pocket 3. It's not something you can do on the Pocket 3 screen itself. I'm not sure why. Hopefully they will add this feature in a later firmware update. But with the DJI Memo app open on your smartphone and paired to the Pocket 3, if you press and hold in the screen, you will see this little locked icon appear in the corner of the yellow box. What this locked symbol signifies is that the shutter speed and ISO setting that the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 has automatically currently set is now locked. So these values won't change as you move the gimbal around. And so as you move the gimbal around, the exposure will no longer change to prevent these jarring exposure shifts. And this will make your video footage look so much more professional. To turn exposure lock off, simply press anywhere else on the Memo app or Pocket 3 screen. Now just quickly, if you are getting value from this video and enjoy all things Pocket 3, but also drones, action cameras, gimbals and more, and want to find out the best settings you should be using and more tips and tricks to help you get more cinematic videos and better looking images, then please consider subscribing by clicking that subscribe button down below. And when you're down there, make sure to check the notification bell so that you will be alerted when my new videos are released. It would be greatly appreciated. Now, an accessory I highly recommend picking up for the Pocket 3 is a screen and lens protector. And this works just like the screen protector on your smartphone to protect the screen and lens from getting damaged. These small pieces of tempered glass simply place on top of the screen and lens on the Pocket 3. And the reason I recommend this is because there's no removable cap on the camera of the Pocket 3. So if you damage the glass in front of the camera, it means you need to replace the entire Pocket 3. So by having a small lens protector in front of the camera, if that does get damaged, you can simply remove the protector and put a new one on without having to replace the entire Pocket 3. And the nice thing is, even with this lens protector attached, the magnetic filters still work. So if you want to pick up a lens and screen protector for the Pocket 3, I will put a link down below to the ones I use and recommend. Now, to avoid getting unusable footage because there is a smudge or smear on your screen, then you want to make sure you periodically clean the Pocket 3 lens. I recommend doing this with the Pocket 3 turned off so you aren't overloading the gimbal motors, as if you try to rotate the gimbal while the Pocket 3 is on, it will fight against you. Instead, simply turn the Pocket 3 off, and once the gimbal has automatically locked in place, you can rotate the camera outwards and then clean it with a lens cloth or microfiber. This is absolutely worth doing because the screen on the Pocket 3 is so small that if there's dust or dirt on the camera lens, you won't really be able to see it on the Pocket 3 screen. So you might not realize until you get home and view the footage on the big screen, but by that point it's too late. Now, if you've just captured some clips or some images with the Pocket 3 and you want to preview them to see what they are like, you can do this by going into the media library. Now, it's a little bit hidden. All you have to do is swipe from left to right on the Pocket 3 screen, and you will immediately get taken in to preview the last clip or image you captured with the Pocket 3. Now you can swipe upwards or downwards to move between clips, or if you press this album button on the top left of the screen, now you can see thumbnails of all the media you have captured with the Pocket 3, and then you can simply tap into any of these to view them. Now, if when you use the Pocket 3, you tend to go to lots of different locations, capturing videos and images in each, a feature you will find super handy is file naming. And this allows you to customize the folder name that the videos and images are being saved into, so that you can have a different folder for each location, speeding up your workflow when you get home, because when you download the clips off the Pocket 3, you won't need to spend ages organizing them after the fact, as you will have already done it, changing the folder name at each location. Now, to do this, simply swipe down from the top of the Pocket 3 screen, press the settings button, and then scroll down until you see an option called naming management. Now, if you tap folder name, you can customize the folder name that the videos and images will be saved into. So what I like to do is set this to L01 for location 1, and now all the clips I capture in that first location will be saved into that folder. And then when I get to a second location, I go back in and change this to L02 for location 2. And now all the clips I capture at location 2 will be in a separate individual folder. You could also do this by choosing file name, and this allows you to customize a prefix added to the end of each clip captured with the Pocket 3. Now, something to be aware of is the fact that the Pocket 3 is not waterproof, so you do not want to get it wet. Absolutely do not put the Pocket 3 underwater, as you will destroy it. And if it starts raining heavily, make sure to not get the Pocket 3 wet. Now, if you want to find out more mistakes you might be making and should avoid with the Pocket 3, I have another video that you should watch after this one, and I will put a link to it down below. Now, one of the really nice features on the DJI Mic 2 is the ability to turn on a 32-bit float. Now what this does is increases the audio dynamic range. So just like if you have a camera with more video dynamic range, you can capture more highlights and shadows. Well, that is kind of like audio dynamic range. Normally, if you capture audio that is really loud, it can get clipped and become distorted. But the great thing about turning on 32-bit float, which if you remember gives you more available audio levels in your recording, is that if you do capture audio that is too loud, such as a scream, or too low, such as a whisper, then you are able to correct this in post without the audio becoming distorted, because you are recording with that 32-bit float setting turned on. To turn this feature on with the mic 2 switched on and connected to your Pocket 3, simply swipe down from the top of the Pocket 3 screen and then press the settings button, then select the wireless mic option, and then scroll down until you see the option called 32-bit float recording, and then you want to turn this on to enable 32-bit float. Also in this menu, you will see an option called Audio to Video Sync. Now when you turn this option on, if you're using the mic 2, when you start a recording on the Pocket 3, it will automatically start an internal recording on the mic 2. And when you stop a recording on the Pocket 3, the internal recording on the mic 2 will also stop, meaning the audio file on the mic 2 and the video file on the Pocket 3 will both have the same time and duration, making these super easy to sync up, and this saves you from having to do a sync clap each time you're recording footage. Now you can charge the Pocket 3 to 80% in just 16 minutes and to 100% in another 16 minutes. But you can't just use any charger to get these charging times. You need a charger that outputs 30 watts or more, and then once connected, you will see the message on the screen say fast charging to let you know that you will be getting them blazing fast charging times. Now, if you're capturing footage in the D-Log-M color profile, something you might not know is that DJI provide a D-Log-M to Rec 709 conversion LUT, which can add contrast and saturation back to your footage and save you from having to manually color grade your clips and get you 99% of the way there and save you time when editing. All you have to do is go to the Osmo Pocket 3 download section of the DJI website, download the DJI Osmo Pocket 3 D-Log-M to Rec 709 LUT, and then apply this to your footage in your favorite video editor. And I will put a link to the website where you can pick this LUT up down below. Now on the front of the Pocket 3 you will see the status LED, which can change different colors and blink in different patterns to let you know different statuses. But what do the colors and blinking patterns mean? Well, if you see a solid green light, this means the Pocket 3 is ready to use. If the LED temporarily turns off, it means the Pocket 3 is taking a photo. If it blinks red slowly, it means the Pocket 3 is recording a video. And if it blinks 3 times rapidly, that means the Pocket 3 is powering off or about to power off because of low battery. Now something you can do in the Pocket 3 is save custom presets, and this will help you out if you find yourself continually changing between video settings that you use often. So maybe you change between using 4K 30 FPS in the normal color profile to 4K 60 FPS in D-Log-M. Well, instead of having to change these settings individually every time, you can save these as separate additional modes so that when you want to change, all you have to do is tap the mode button and then swipe across into a different custom mode. So to save a preset, all you have to do is firstly make sure you have all the settings you want set for your mode, such as resolution, FPS, and the Pro settings. Then swipe down from the top of the screen, press this presets button, and then press the yellow plus icon. You will get a confirmation of the settings you are about to save to this new mode, and then hit confirm. And now when you press the mode button on the bottom left of the Pocket 3 screen to change modes, you will see this new custom preset mode has become available. Now if you're out capturing yourself alone and you want to get more dynamic movement in your clips, all you have to do is place the Pocket 3 down somewhere secure, and then double tapping yourself on the screen to enable tracking. Now, as you move around, the Pocket 3's gimbal will rotate to track you and keep you centered so that you can get shots like this where you walk past the camera. Now the Pocket 3 comes with a feature called Glamour Effects, which changes how your face appears on the video recorded by the Pocket 3. Now I personally don't recommend that you use this feature, as I find it can make your face look cartoony and lower the quality of the footage captured from the camera. But there are a few things you should be aware of when using this feature. Now to turn on Glamour Effects, you simply swipe from right to left on the Pocket 3's screen, and then you will see an option called Glamour Effects, and you can tap this to turn them on or off. Now when Glamour Effects is turned on, you will see this face icon appear on the top right of the Pocket 3 screen, and when Glamour Effects is turned off, this face icon will disappear. Now although you can turn on or off the Glamour Effects on the Pocket 3, you can't actually change the settings for the Glamour Effects unless you are using the DJI Mimo app. So with the Mimo app open on your smartphone and connected to your Pocket 3, if you tap the Glamour Effects icon on the top of the app screen, you will see options such as Smooth, Brighten, Slim, Eyes, etc. And you will also have a slider where you can change the intensity of each of these effects. Now something to be aware of when using Glamour Effects is that you won't actually see what these effects look like on your face on the screen on the Pocket 3. And when you remove the microSD card from your Pocket 3 and play the footage back, you also won't see the Glamour Effects applied to that footage. So to be able to get the footage with the Glamour Effects applied, you need to actually download it from the DJI Mimo app. So with the Mimo app open again, you want to press the album button on the bottom left of the screen. Then you want to select the clip that you want to download, and then you want to press this download button. And now you will have the footage with the Glamour Effects applied. Now if you've captured lots of 4K footage with your Pocket 3 and you stop to preview it on the DJI Mimo app, but when you're watching the footage back you're thinking, this doesn't look very high quality, and you start questioning if you set the Pocket 3 to 4K, this is because the preview on the DJI Mimo app is a low quality preview, not the original resolution. You won't see the original high quality resolution until you have downloaded these files. Now if you want to get better footage from your Pocket 3, a feature I highly recommend turning on is the grid option. Now to turn this on, simply swipe down from the top of the screen, press the settings button, and then scroll down until you see an option called reference line. And then when you go into this setting, you will see an option called grid, and you simply want to tap to turn this on. Now when you go back to the main camera view, you will see it has superimposed a grid over your video preview. Now it's important to be aware that this grid does not get saved to the footage stored to the microSD card of the Pocket 3, it's simply superimposed over the Pocket 3's camera preview. Now this grid is super useful for two things. Firstly, it can help you keep your subjects centered because you can really easily see where the center of your videos is. It can also help you compose your clips by doing things like using the rule of thirds by placing your subject on one of the intersections on the grid. Now if you swipe down from the top of the screen on the Pocket 3 and tap the icon on the bottom right, this takes you into the gimbal modes setting. And then here you have three different gimbal modes. So the first mode you will be in by default is the follow mode. Now in follow mode, the camera view follows the gimbal's pan and tilt movements. This means that as you tilt the Pocket 3 up or down, the gimbal will slowly tilt the camera up or down. And as you twist the Pocket left or right, the gimbal will slowly rotate left or right. However, if you roll the Pocket 3 left or right, the gimbal will keep the camera level to the horizon. This mode works great for capturing clips where you start by pointing towards the sky or ground and then slowly tilt the Pocket 3 towards the horizon to bring your subject into focus. The next gimbal mode is called Tilt Lock. Now in this mode, the camera view only follows the Pocket 3's pan movements. This means that as you tilt the Pocket 3 up or down, or roll the Pocket 3 left or right, the camera will stay level to the horizon. However, if you twist the Pocket 3 left or right, the camera will still follow this motion. This mode works great for shooting horizontally, moving around a subject, or walking forwards or backwards. Lastly, we have FPV mode. In FPV mode, all three axes, pan, tilt and roll, with the gimbal to follow the movement of the Pocket 3 to mirror your movement. This gives you an incredible FPV view and allows you to capture shots that look like they have been recorded with an FPV drone. To get this effect, I recommend walking fast around your location, getting the Pocket 3 close to trees, branches and walls as you pass. Now when you're in the menu screens on the Pocket 3, you can use this arrow on the top left of the screen to go back through the menus, but you can also use the joystick to go back by simply pressing it. So when you're in a menu and you press the joystick inward, this acts as a back button. Now if you have moved to the Pocket 3 from the Action 4, you might wonder where the hyperlapse option is. That's because in the Action 4 there is a separate mode in the mode menu for it. But if you look at the mode menu on the Pocket 3, you won't find the hyperlapse option. And that's because you actually need to go to the time-lapse mode and then you will be able to access hyperlapse mode from within there. The battery extension handle can be connected and removed while you're recording video on the Pocket 3 without it being interrupted. So if you are doing a long recording and the battery is getting dangerously low, you can simply attach the battery handle and continue recording. If you're planning to do a long recording with the Pocket 3 and you want to extend the battery life, one way you can do this is by reducing the screen brightness. Now you can do this by swiping down from the top of the screen and then pressing this sun icon to get into the screen brightness setting. I recommend lowering this to around 50 to 60%, which should be more than enough to see the screen unless you are recording outside on a really bright sunny day, but by lowering it to 50 or 60%, you will save battery life when recording with the Pocket 3. The Pocket 3 also comes with a new mode called Product Showcase mode. Now what this mode will do is prioritize subjects in the foreground and blur the background to make it a little bit more cinematic. When you're not using Product Showcase mode, what might happen is when you hold a subject up to the camera, such as a product you're showcasing, the camera might actually prioritize you in the background and so you are in focus, but the product you're holding up is not, it's blurry. However, when you switch to Product Showcase mode, the camera will prioritize that subject you're holding up to the camera and make sure it's in focus and not you in the background. To enable this mode, you simply want to swipe from right to left on the screen, and then in the Pro settings, you want to scroll down until you see an option called Focus mode. When you press into this, if you slide up on the right side of the screen, you will then select the Product Showcase mode, and then when you hit Confirm, the camera is now in Product Showcase mode. Now in the Focus mode settings, you will see we have two other options that you can choose between. Firstly, we have Single mode. Now in this mode, the autofocus only operates one single time, which is going to be suitable for capturing motionless subjects. So this is good if you're filming something that isn't moving. And then we have Continuous Focus mode. Now in this mode, the autofocus will continue to operate, and this is going to be more suitable for capturing moving subjects to make sure they are always in focus. And this is the option you will want to have the camera set to most of the time so that it's continually focusing and making sure whatever it is you're recording is sharp and in focus. Anytime you have the extended battery handle connected to the Pocket 3, you can check the battery level for both devices by tapping on the icon on the top right of the screen. And then you will be able to see the battery percentage for the Pocket 3 and the extended battery handle. Now, if you are placing the Pocket 3 into the protective cover, you might be concerned about where you are going to put the Mic 2 to make sure you don't misplace it or lose it. But there's actually a location on the top of the protective cover specifically for the Mic 2 so that you can attach it to the top of the protective cover and keep everything together. Now, I've seen a few videos saying that the Mic 2 won't attach to the top of the protective cover with the magnet attached to it, but that's not the case. All you have to do is make sure that the magnet is pushed up to the top of the clip on the back of the Mic 2, and then it will fit to the top of the protective cover, no issues at all. Now, if you use the tracking feature when the camera is rotated round into selfie mode a lot, having to double tap the screen to start that tracking mode every single time can get annoying. But there's actually a feature to speed this up and have the camera start to automatically track you every time you rotate the gimbal round into selfie mode. Now you can activate it by swiping down from the top of the screen to bring up the menu, and then tapping the icon on the top right of the screen to turn on a feature called FT Selfie. And now every single time you rotate the gimbal round into selfie mode, it will automatically start tracking your face, saving you time and meaning you don't need to double tap the screen every single time. Do be aware though that if you do want to use this FT Selfie feature, that it only works in normal video mode, photo mode and slow motion mode, but only at 1080p and 2.7K 120 FPS. It doesn't work in 240 FPS mode, and it doesn't work in 4K resolution when using slow motion mode. Something else to be aware of is the fact that if you are using the slow motion mode, the camera won't be recording audio. So you won't get audio from the internal microphones of the Pocket 3 or audio from the DJI Mic 2 if you're capturing footage using the slow motion mode. Now the DJI Mic 2 has two status LEDs on either side of the microphone. But what do these LEDs mean when they change different colors and blink in different patterns? Well, the LED on the left side of the Mic 2 is the recording status LED. So if this is off, it means the transmitter is not recording independently. And if it's solid red, it means the transmitter is recording independently. On the right side of the Mic 2, we have the system status LED. So when this shows a solid blue color, it means it's linked to your Pocket 3. If it's blinking slowly blue, that means it's not connected to your Pocket 3 and is ready to connect once you turn the Pocket 3 on. If it starts to blink blue quickly, this means you have it in linking mode, ready to pair with the Pocket 3. If it shows a solid yellow, that means noise cancelling is enabled and the Mic 2 is connected to your Pocket 3. If it's blinking yellow, that means noise cancelling is enabled, but the transmitter is not connected to your Pocket 3. To access all the additional video settings on the Pocket 3, like the shutter speed, ISO, white balance and color mode like HLG and D-Log-M, you need to be in Pro mode. Now to access Pro mode, first swipe from right to left on the screen to bring up the settings menu, and at the top right of the screen you will see this little Pro button. Now when you press this, it changes to yellow and you are now in Pro mode, and you will see a lot more options become available, and this is where you can now adjust all of these settings, such as tapping into exposure, and then here you can change to manual exposure, and then you can change the shutter speed by sliding your finger up or down on the left side of the screen, or change the ISO by sliding your finger up or down on the right side of the screen. Now with the Pocket 3, you can also take long exposure photos, which is a technique where the camera's shutter is left open for a long period of time, allowing you to capture the trail of moving objects with the camera, while subjects that aren't moving in your frame stay sharp and in focus, such as in this example of this stream of water. But this also works great for things like waterfalls. To do this, set your pocket down with the camera pointed towards your subject, and then in photo mode, swipe from right to left to bring up the settings menu, and then select the exposure setting. Press the small M icon on the bottom left to enter manual exposure, and then swipe your finger down on the left side of the screen to lower the shutter speed to around half a second or 1 second shutter speed, and press confirm. Now, if you are doing this on a bright sunny day, you will probably notice the screen then becomes completely overexposed and all white. And this is because we are using such a low shutter speed, which is letting in a lot of light. To get around this, we need to use something called an ND filter, which is a dark piece of glass that goes in front of the camera, letting in less light to get a properly exposed image, but still allowing us to run a low shutter speed. Think of it like a pair of sunglasses for your Pocket 3, and these simply magnetize to the front of the camera. Now, ND filters come in different strengths, and the larger the number, the darker the piece of glass. In this example, I am using an ND 1000. Now, with the ND filter attached, the shutter speed set to a low setting, all we need to do is keep the Pocket 3 perfectly still and press the capture button to get these unique and interesting long exposure images. Now, if you don't have ND filters for the Pocket 3, then the ones I use and recommend are these from 3Well. This mega 14 pack includes 7 ND filters, 4 polarizing ND filters, a CPL, LPR, and mist filter. So you are covered for pretty much every scenario when out filming with the Pocket 3. If you would like to find out more or pick this set up, then I will put a link in the description down below. Now, if you didn't know, the shutter speed is the length of time the Pocket 3's camera's shutter is open for, exposing light onto that sensor. But changing the shutter speed can also change how motion looks in your videos. Having a shutter speed which is too low can make your videos stutter or appear choppy, so you want to avoid that. On the other hand, having a shutter speed too high can make the motion look too sharp and unnatural. And that's because our eyes are used to seeing motion blur. For example, in this clip of me running, when the shutter speed is set too high, we don't see this motion blur, as the camera shutter is too fast and this can look unnatural. For the best motion in your videos, you want to use something called the 180-degree shutter rule. The 180-degree shutter rule states that your shutter speed should be set to double your frame rate. So if you are recording at 30 FPS, you will want your shutter speed to be 1/60, and if you're recording at 60 FPS, you will want your shutter speed to be 1/120, for example. Now again, if you're outside on a sunny day, you might find that setting your shutter speed to 2 times your frame rate will cause your image to become overexposed and very white again. If this is the case, you will again want to use an ND filter to let in less light and correct your exposure while allowing you to run the correct shutter speed to get motion blur in your videos. Now, the internal microphones on the Pocket 3 are very good and comparable to the DJI Mic 2 audio quality. Sometimes when you think of internal microphones, you think of low quality or tinny sounding audio, but that is not the case. The audio quality from the internal microphones of the Pocket 3 has been very impressive in my testing. Something to be aware of though is that you do need to stand close to the Pocket 3 to get good sounding audio. If you are going to be further away from the Pocket 3, then I do recommend that you use the Mic 2. Also, if it's a windy day, because you can attach a windscreen to the Mic 2, you will also get better sounding audio with the Mic 2. This is a sample of the audio quality using the DJI Mic 2 connected to the Pocket 3. And this is a sample of the audio using the internal microphones on the Pocket 3. As you can see, it's still very high quality and comparable to the DJI Mic 2, as long as you are standing close to the Pocket 3. All of that is to say, if you are capturing footage, vlogging for example, standing close to the Pocket 3, don't be afraid to use the internal microphones because you will get great sounding audio from them. Now when you press this button on the battery extension handle, you will see an LED light up, and again this LED can show in different colours and blink in different patterns. But what do they all mean? Well, if you press the button and the status LED shows a solid red for 3 seconds and turns off, that means the battery level of the extension handle is between 0 to 19%. If it shows a solid yellow for 3 seconds and turns off, that means the battery level is between 20% to 49%. And if it shows a solid green for 3 seconds and turns off, that means the battery level is between 50% to 100%. When you connect the battery extension handle to a power source, while it is charging, the status LED will blink green, and once it has fully charged, the status LED will turn off. If when you're using the Pocket 3 it falls over, or if something is pressed against the gimbal, gimbal protection mode will turn on. Now, gimbal protection mode turns the motors off and allows them to move freely so that they won't get damaged by trying to resist against whatever is pressed against the gimbal. Now, if this does happen, you will see a message appear on the screen, and when you are ready to use the Pocket 3 again, you simply want to press the recenter gimbal on the warning on the screen, and the motors of the gimbal will kick back in, and you will now be able to move the gimbal around again. Now, if you are capturing audio with the internal microphones on the Pocket 3, something you might not be aware of is where the internal microphones are located. They're located about halfway up in the Pocket 3, and you will see one on the left side, it's this small little hole, one on the back, again it's a small little hole, and one on the right side. Now, something you want to be aware of is that you don't cover these microphone holes when you're holding the Pocket 3. You might do this by accident. Now, if you do this, you're going to get muffled audio in your videos, or if you're moving your fingers over them microphones without realizing it, you will get scratching noises over the top of your video. Luckily though, there is a warning built into the Pocket 3 to let you know if you're doing this. So if you're capturing video and accidentally covering them internal microphones, you will actually get a message on the screen letting you know that the microphones are blocked. So if you see this message, you want to make sure that you move your hand down in the Pocket 3 to make sure that the microphones are all uncovered. If, when using the joystick to move the gimbal, you think the speed is too fast to get cinematic clips when you move it around, or if it's too slow, maybe you're trying to capture something moving fast, you can actually speed the movement up or slow it down in the settings. So to do this, you want to swipe down from the top of the screen, press the settings button, and then scroll down until you see an option called joystick speed. Then on the right side of the screen, you will see an option called gimbal. Now this defaults to 4, but you can slide your finger to increase this value all the way up to 7, and this will speed up how fast the gimbal moves, or decrease this value down to 1 to slow down how fast the gimbal moves when you use that joystick on the Pocket 3. Now there are 2 ways you can zoom the camera in on the Pocket 3. The first is by pressing and holding on this zoom icon here, and then while pressing on the screen, slide your finger upwards to zoom the camera in, or slide your finger downwards to zoom the camera out. The second way you can zoom the camera in is by firstly tapping on that zoom icon until the 1 times disappears, and now you are in zoom mode. So if you press the joystick upwards, you will zoom the camera in, and if you press the joystick downwards, you will zoom the camera out. Now again, if you find zooming the camera in or out too fast or too slow, you can change how fast it zooms in and out in the settings menu. So if we go back to the settings menu and again scroll down to the joystick speed setting, on the left side of the screen, you will see an option for the zoom speed. And again, you can increase this all the way up to 7 to speed up how fast the camera zooms, or decrease this value all the way to 1 to slow down how fast the camera zooms in or out. If you accidentally recorded a clip that was intended to be landscape but in portrait mode, don't worry, you don't need to throw this clip away. You can quickly and simply fix it by importing it into your video editing software and rotating it 90 degrees to make it landscape again. Now when using the Mic 2 transmitter, you will want to make sure that it is paired to your Pocket 3 before you start recording, especially if you're doing a long recording. The worst thing that could happen is, after you stop recording a long vlog, you realize that the Mic 2 wasn't paired and you won't have the audio from the Mic 2 on your Pocket 3's video. Now there are a few ways you can check if the Mic 2 is paired to the Pocket 3. The first is by checking the status LED on the Mic 2 to make sure that it's a solid blue color. That will indicate that it's paired to the Pocket 3. If it's blinking, however, that will signify that it's not connected to your Pocket 3. The second way you can check to make sure the Mic 2 is connected to your Pocket 3 is checking for an audio meter to be displayed on the top of the Pocket 3 screen. As you talk, this audio meter should bounce up and down, and again that will let you know that the audio is being sent from the Mic 2 to the Pocket 3. The last way you can check is by swiping down on the top of the Pocket 3 screen, going to the settings menu, and then selecting the wireless mic option. And you should see under TX1 a battery percentage for the Mic 2 and how much storage is available on the internal recording on that transmitter. These 2 icons will show as white. If they're blank, that means the Mic 2 is not connected to the Pocket 3 and you'll have to pair it. Now to pair the Mic 2, it's very simple. Simply press on the TX1 button on the left side of the screen and then press and hold the link button on the Mic 2. Once you do this, after a few seconds you will see wireless mic connected appear on the screen, and now the Mic 2 will be successfully connected to the Pocket 3. Now one of the super useful features that's slightly hidden off the Mic 2 is the fact that if you want to capture video with your smartphone, you can actually pair the Mic 2 to your smartphone and use the Mic 2 to capture audio. Now to do this, it's very straightforward. You first want to put the Mic 2 into linking mode by pressing and holding the link button until the status LED starts blinking blue. And now if you go to your Bluetooth settings on your smartphone, you will see the DJI Mic 2 appear. So you want to press on this to connect to the microphone. Now if you then start capturing footage with your iPhone, which is what I'm using, you still won't be able to get audio from the Mic 2 even though it's linked to your iPhone. And that's because you will need to use a third-party app to be able to decide where the iPhone is capturing audio from on its video. So for this, I use and recommend an app called Blackmagic Camera, but any video app where you can change the audio source will work. So with the Blackmagic Camera app open, if you go to the settings menu and scroll down to the audio source setting, in here you can see you can change from the iPhone microphone to the DJI Mic 2. So once you select this option, any footage you then capture with your phone using that app will have the audio from the Mic 2 stored to the video. Now by default, when you turn the Pocket 3 on, the gimbal always faces forward. But if you primarily vlog, having to triple tap the button every single time to rotate the camera around to selfie mode can be a pain. Well, the good news is you can actually change this. So again, if you swipe down from the top of the screen and go to the settings menu, you will see an option called Gimbal Startup Direction. And you can change this from forwards to backwards. So now when you turn the Pocket 3 on, the gimbal will rotate round to be in selfie mode by default. Now, if when you are playing back the Pocket 3 footage on your laptop or computer, which is maybe lower powered, it is stuttering, or if as you are editing the footage, your computer is lagging and freezing, it could be because you are using the H.265 video compression setting. Now, H.265 is a newer encoding format with a better compression efficiency. And this has the benefits of meaning your file sizes will be smaller, so you can capture more clips with the total storage of your microSD card. But because of that better compression efficiency, more processing power is required to encode and decode the video. So you will require more processing power when it comes time to edit them clips. So if you are having issues, you can switch to the H.264 encoding format, which requires less processing power, making it more efficient on older and less powerful machines. To do this, you want to swipe down from the top of the Pocket 3 screen and then press the settings menu button. Then you want to scroll down until you see the video compression setting. And when you tap into this, you can change from H.265, which is the efficiency setting, to H.264, which is the compatibility setting. Now, when you're capturing footage of a subject or tracking it, maybe you don't always want the subject to be in the center of the frame. Maybe to use something like the rule of thirds. Well, you can do this easily using one of my favorite modes called dynamic framing. Now, to access this mode, you want to tap the Smart Gimbal Mode button on the left side of the screen. And then the second option down on the left side is dynamic framing. So when you press Start, you will see 6 focal points appear on the display, and you can use the joystick to highlight any one of these. So if you place your subject underneath one of the desired points, then click the joystick, the Pocket 3 will start tracking that subject, but lock the subject to the location of that focal point on the screen. So now as your subject moves around, or as you move the Pocket 3 around your subject, the camera will keep them in that area of the frame. And this allows you to get different composition in your clips and makes following the rule of thirds effortless. Now by default, whenever you tilt the Pocket 3 down or tilt it towards the sky, the gimbal will slowly follow your movements. And the same thing happens when you twist the Pocket 3 left or twist the Pocket 3 right. The gimbal will slowly rotate round to be facing in the direction you're holding the Pocket 3. But if you press and hold the joystick, you will do something called locking the gimbal. And now if you tilt the Pocket 3 forwards or tilt it backwards or twist the Pocket 3 left or right, the gimbal will remain pointing towards the direction you had it when you started pressing and holding the joystick. It won't rotate or tilt up or down. Once you let off the joystick and stop pressing it, the gimbal will now start following your movements again. Now you can double press the joystick to recenter your gimbal, and triple pressing the joystick will change the orientation of the gimbal between front facing and selfie mode. Now if the Pocket 3 isn't focusing on your subject correctly, or if you want it to focus on something in the background instead of the foreground, You can override the autofocus by just tapping on the screen on top of what it is you want the camera to focus on, and then the camera will now focus on that subject. Now, by default, when using tracking on the Pocket 3, the camera will keep whatever it is you're tracking in the center of the frame. But if you want to get creative with your framing, maybe have the subject off to the side, you can do that by firstly tapping to track the subject and then move the gimbal around using the joystick to reframe your subject. And now as you move around it, or as your subject moves around, the camera will do its best to keep that subject locked in that position in your clip. Now, the internal microphones on the Pocket 3 are omnidirectional. That means they record audio all around the Pocket 3. However, in some scenarios, you might want to only capture audio from the back-facing microphone and not capture audio from the two side microphones. Well, this is possible by swiping from right to left on the screen, pressing the microphone settings button, and then at the bottom, you will see an option called directional audio. Now, if you press this, you can change from all, where it captures audio from all three internal microphones, to front and back. Now, with the Pocket 3, you can adjust how much sharpening or how much noise reduction is being applied to the image captured from the camera. Now, to access these settings, again, you want to swipe from right to left on the screen, making sure you're in Pro mode, and then if you scroll down, you will see an option called Image Adjustment. Now, when you tap into this, if you press the Custom option, you will see a slider on the left where you can increase or decrease the sharpness, and a slider on the right where you can increase or decrease the noise reduction. Now, in my opinion, the default image that comes from the Pocket 3 looks slightly too sharp. It looks slightly too digital. So the settings I recommend are lowering sharpness to -2 and lowering the noise reduction to -1. And this will give you a better looking and more natural image from the Pocket 3. Now, if you're using manual exposure, you might wonder what the ISO setting is. Well, to put it simply, this changes the Pocket 3's sensitivity to light. So by increasing this value, you can therefore brighten up your image, which will become useful if filming in low light or nighttime situations. However, something that's very important to be aware of is the fact that the higher you increase the ISO, the more noise and grain you will introduce to your footage. So when you are recording, you always want to keep this value as low as possible to get the cleanest and best looking footage. Now, on the Pocket 3, the DJI Mic 2 actually has its own settings menu where you can change things like the transmitter volume, so you can turn the volume of the microphone upwards or downwards, mute it, and turn on noise reduction. But you might not be aware of how to find it. So this menu only becomes available when you turn the Mic 2 on and pair it to the Pocket 3. And then if you swipe from right to left on the screen, you will see this DJI Mic 2 icon appear, and when you press this, you will now be in the Mic 2 settings. Something to be aware of is the fact that the Pocket 3 has no internal storage, so if you don't have a micro SD card inserted and you try to start recording a video, you will see a message saying no SD card appear on the screen. So it's very, very important that you always remember to bring a micro SD card with you when you're going out to record footage with the Pocket 3. Now, you can also use any third-party external microphones by attaching them to the USB-C port on the bottom of the Pocket 3. So if you want to use a shotgun mic or a lavalier, you can just attach it directly to the Pocket 3. Something to be aware of though is that these microphones have a 3.5mm out, so you will need a 3.5mm to USB-C adapter to be able to connect the microphones to the Pocket 3. So if you do want to do this, I will put a link to where you can pick up one of these adapters in the description down below. Now, you can also use external third-party microphones with the Mic 2. So this will be perfect if you want to use a lavalier microphone. You can simply attach the 3.5mm output to the TRS input on the top of the Mic 2, and then attach the Mic 2 to your jeans or a pocket on your trousers, run the lavalier up the inside of your shirt, and then you will have a very inconspicuous microphone setup, which will be perfect if you don't like how big or bulky the Mic 2 looks when attached to your shirt. Now, if you are using the Pocket 3 to record studio videos or as a webcam, you can actually mount the DJI Mic 2 to the top of a tripod, such as this Osmo Action Mini extension rod. The top of this little tripod is magnetic, so you can simply snap the microphone to the top of it and then set it on your desk. If you are looking to be able to get head height footage from the Pocket 3 but want the lightest possible setup, then I recommend the Ulanzi MT44 tripod. This super portable and lightweight tripod is only 32.5 centimeters when folded, but can extend all the way to 146.5 centimeters, allowing you to get the Pocket 3 to head height when recording. Again, if you would like to find out more about this tripod, I will put a link in the description down below. Now, you can also do internal audio recordings on the mic too, which means the audio will be stored internally on the mic 2 to access later, as well as being stored to the videos you're capturing on the Pocket 3. Now, this will be great if you are in a situation where you think that you might end up walking quite far away from the Pocket 3 or walk behind large obstacles, and that might cause interference or cause the signal from the mic 2 to cut out and lose connection to the Pocket 3. Now, if the mic 2 does disconnect from the Pocket 3, it will automatically switch to the internal microphones. So this isn't going to be very good if you're far away from the Pocket 3 because it won't be able to hear you. And if you're walking behind obstacles, again, it's going to struggle to pick you up. But by having the mic 2 internally capturing that audio, even if it disconnects from the Pocket 3, you will still have the audio being captured from the mic 2 being stored to that internal file that you can access at a later date. Now, to start an internal audio recording on the mic 2, you simply want to press the record button on the side of the mic 2. It's this button with the red outline, and you will know it started to internally record audio when that recording status LED changes to red. To stop it internally recording audio, you just want to press the same button again, and that recording status LED will turn off. Now, to access the audio files on the mic 2, you simply want to connect it to a computer via the USB-C port on the side of the mic 2, and then it will show up as a storage device where you can simply download these audio files. Something nice to know about the Freewell ND filters for the Pocket 3 is the fact that they are stackable, meaning you can place one on top of another. So if you are using an ND filter but would also like to add the mist filter, for example, you can do that. Now, something I highly recommend that you don't do is remove the micro SD card from the Pocket 3 straight away after stopping a recording. After you stop a video recording, the Pocket 3 takes a few seconds to finish saving that file to your micro SD card. So if you're in a hurry, don't stop recording and immediately eject the micro SD card, as what you might find has happened once you look at the files after you've connected it to a computer is the video file that was being saved as you ejected the micro SD card could have become corrupt. So to avoid this, after you stop recording a video, simply wait a few seconds before you eject that micro SD card and you will be absolutely fine. Now, with a recent firmware update to the Osmo Action 4, firmware version 01.03.0710, the DJI Mic 2 can now pair wirelessly with that Action camera. So once you have updated the firmware, simply swipe down on the Osmo Action 4 screen, press the settings icon, scroll down to the wireless mic option, and then tap the wireless microphone box at the top of the menu. Then press and hold the linking button on the mic 2 until the blue light starts flashing, and after a few seconds the mic 2 will pair with your Osmo Action 4. It's as simple as that. Now, when you first start using the Pocket 3, you will get helpful notifications on the screen to let you know how to use certain features. But if some are staying on the screen too long, such as this one letting you know that if you swipe from the right edge, you can adjust the exposure that appears when you start capturing video but takes over the entire preview screen, then you can simply tap on them to remove them straight away. Now, if you have the DJI Mic 1 system, you might wonder, can you use these microphones with the Pocket 3? And the answer is yes. However, you can't pair the Mic 1 with the internal receiver on the Pocket 3. Instead, you will have to attach the DJI Mic 1 receiver to the bottom of the Pocket 3 by attaching the USB-C adapter to the receiver and then plugging that into the USB-C port on the Pocket 3. With that attached, you will then be able to use the DJI Mic 1 transmitters with the Pocket 3. Another question you might ask is, can you use the DJI Mic 2 and the DJI Mic 1 at the same time? And the answer is no. Once you link the Mic 2 with the Pocket 3, even if you have the Mic 1 receiver plugged into the Pocket 3, it stops using the audio from that and only uses the audio from the DJI Mic 2. Now again, if you have the original DJI mic system, you might wonder, can you put the Mic 2 into the charging case and have that charge the Mic 2 transmitter? Unfortunately, this doesn't work. The Mic 2 is slightly larger than the original Mic 1 transmitter. It's slightly chunkier, and this prevents you from being able to put it into that charging case. Also, if you look at the bottom of the original mic transmitter compared to the Mic 2 transmitter, you will notice the charging pins are in a different place. So even if it did fit in the charging case, the transmitter still wouldn't charge. Now, to turn the Pocket 3 on, you simply rotate the screen. But something you might not know is that you can also turn the Pocket 3 on without rotating the screen by pressing and holding the record button. Now, once you do this, the gimbal will rotate round and the Pocket 3 will turn on, but this time it will go straight into portrait mode unless you have it set differently on the shooting orientation setting. Now, if you want to be able to move the Pocket 3 gimbal around, maybe you want to frame up your clip, but you're not within arm's reach of the Pocket 3, you can actually control the gimbal and a range of other things with the DJI Memo app wirelessly. So once you have connected to the Pocket 3 with the Memo app, you can move the gimbal around by pressing on this joystick on the bottom right of the screen. And you can move the gimbal left, right, up, or down. You can also start tracking using the Memo app. So this will be good if you want to start a tracking shot of yourself, but you aren't within reach to be able to touch the screen and start the tracking on the Pocket 3. Now, to do this on the Memo app, it's slightly different than on the screen of the Pocket 3. You want to move the gimbal around until you can see the subject you want to track on the screen. And then instead of double tapping on the subject you want to track, you want to draw a box over that subject. Once you do this, you will see a green box appear around them, and now the gimbal will automatically track your subject. Now, by default, when you rotate the screen of the Pocket 3 to portrait mode, you will see a 2-second countdown, and then the Pocket 3 will turn off unless you press this continue button. But if you swipe down from the top of the Pocket 3 and go to the settings menu and scroll down until you see the option called rotate screen to power off and press into this, you can change what happens when you rotate that screen into the portrait orientation. So if you capture a lot of portrait video or vertical video and you find it annoying every time to have to press that continue button, or sometimes you rotate the screen to capture vertical video, you don't catch that continue button quick enough, and the Pocket 3 turns off, then you can scroll down and set this to never. And now when you rotate the screen round to that portrait orientation, the Pocket 3 won't turn off. Or if you want the Pocket 3 to turn off faster and you don't like that 2-second countdown, you can change this to now, and then the second you rotate that screen around to the portrait orientation, the Pocket 3 will turn off. Now, because the Mic 2 can record internal audio, this means you can use this microphone independently from the Pocket 3. So maybe you're capturing a voiceover for a video of your family trip after the fact. Well, you don't need to turn on your Pocket 3 to do that. Instead, you can just start an internal audio recording on the Mic 2, record whatever it is you want, stop that internal audio recording, and then simply connect it to your computer and download the audio files off it. Now, with the DJI Mic 2 connected, you can check how loud the audio recording is using this audio meter at the top of the screen. Now, as you talk, you will see this audio meter bounce up and down, and this is showing you the volume of the audio on the Mic 2. Now, the further this audio meter goes to the right, the louder the audio is that's being recorded. If it stays in the green as you're talking, this means that your audio levels are good. If it goes into the orange area as you're talking, this indicates that the audio being recorded is too loud. And if as you talk, it's in the red area, this means that the audio is now so loud it's getting clipped and will be distorted. Now, if your audio is too loud, then you will want to reduce the transmitter gain. To do this, you want to swipe from right to left on the screen and then press the Pro button to enter the Pro settings. Now, with the DJI Mic 2 connected, you will see this Mic 2 icon just to the left of the Pro button. And you want to press this, and then you want to scroll down until you see the transmitter gain option. When you press into this, you will see a slider, and you can slide this upwards to increase the gain, therefore increasing the loudness of the audio coming from the Mic 2, or you can reduce this slider to reduce the volume of the audio coming from the Mic 2. Now, if you're somebody who likes to capture a lot of spontaneous moments with your Pocket 3, and you find it slightly too slow that when something happens you want to capture, you have to rotate your screen, wait for it to turn on, then hit the record button, then you can actually set the Pocket 3 up so that the minute you rotate the screen, it starts recording video. Now, to be able to do this, you want to swipe down from the top of the screen and then press the screen rotate and capture button located here. Now, in here, you will see an option called screen rotate and capture. And when you turn this on, anytime you rotate the Pocket 3 screen when it's off, alongside turning the Pocket 3 on, it will automatically start recording video. Now, when you are using the Mic 2, you want to make sure you haven't placed it too closely to your mouth, as this could make the audio too loud and cause it to become distorted. I recommend placing the microphone a hand's width away from your mouth for the perfect audio levels. Now, if you have an iPhone 15 with a USB-C port on it, something you can do that might come in handy is charge the Pocket 3 using the power on your iPhone. To do this, all you have to do is connect the Pocket 3 to your iPhone 15 using a USB-C to USB-C cable, and then the power from the iPhone 15 will automatically start charging the Pocket 3. You can also do this to charge the battery extension handle, and you can do this to charge the Mic 2. So this will be really useful if you're somewhere and your Pocket 3 has ran out of power or your Mic 2 has ran out of charge and you want to get a few more clips. Well, you can use that battery on your iPhone 15 to charge them devices up. Now, something you want to make sure is that your iPhone 15 has more than 50% charge. If it doesn't and you connect it to your Pocket 3, instead of the iPhone charging the Pocket 3, the Pocket 3 will start to charge your iPhone 15, which is not what you want. Although this might be useful if you're somewhere and need to make a phone call and have a dead iPhone 15, well then you can use your Pocket 3 to charge your iPhone. Now, if you have been out vlogging with your Pocket 3, you come home and review the footage, and when you're watching it, you realize the text or logos in your t-shirt or any of the text or logos in the background of the video are flipped the wrong way round. This is because you have an option turned on called Selfie Flip. Now, when this is turned on, the image will be mirrored horizontally. To change this, you want to swipe down from the top of the Pocket 3 screen, go to the settings button and then scroll down and turn off the selfie flip option. And now any text that's on your video will be readable because it will be the right way around. Now, if you have made the mistake of capturing footage with selfie flip turned on, don't worry, you don't need to throw this footage away, as you can easily fix it afterwards. Simply import the video into your favorite video editor and then apply the horizontal flip effect to it, and now the text will be the correct way around again. Now, when it comes to switching between the recording modes of the Pocket 3, you can press the recording modes button on the bottom left of the screen and then use your finger to swipe left or right between the modes. But in this menu, you can also use the joystick to move left or right between the modes if you don't want to touch the screen. And then once you have the recording mode you desire selected, you simply press the joystick inward to go into that recording mode. Now, when you're capturing images with the Pocket 3, you want to make sure you're using the 1:1 aspect ratio. This is because when you use that ratio, you're capturing an image with the full size of the camera sensor, and you can always crop a 16:9 out of the 1:1 afterwards. However, having that extra verticality of a 1:1 aspect ratio image gives you more flexibility to do things like reframing your subject after the image has been taken. If, as you move the gimbal around, you find it's moving too fast or too slow, you can actually change the reaction speed of the Pocket 3's gimbal in the settings menu. Simply swipe down from the top of the screen and then tap the rotation speed setting. In here, you have three choices: default, slow, which means the gimbal will move slower to keep up with your movements, perfect if you are capturing cinematic footage, and fast, which means the gimbal will move faster along with your movement, which would be good for capturing action clips or fast moving subjects. Now, while you are recording video with the Pocket 3, you still have access to a few different settings. So as you can see right now, I am recording, but if I swipe down from the top of the screen, although some of the settings are grayed out and unavailable, some things are still accessible, such as the screen rotate and capture settings, screen brightness, so you can change the screen brightness while recording. So this would be useful if you're doing a long video recording, you're noticing the battery is draining quite fast. Again, you can go in and turn down the screen brightness. You can turn FT selfie on or off, change the rotational speed for the gimbal, and change the gimbal modes. And if you press the smart gimbal mode button on the left side of the screen, you can start face auto detect mode, dynamic framing mode, and start doing a spin shot. Some of the things you can't change while recording include being unable to change the resolution and FPS, or access any of the pro settings, such as being able to change the color mode. So there you have it, 100 tips and tricks for the DJI Osmo Pocket 3, and hopefully you learned something new about this awesome little camera that will help you get better results with it. Now, if there are any other tips and tricks that I have missed that you think other Pocket 3 owners should be aware of, then please post them in the comments down below to let me know and let them know. Now, before you go, if you liked this video and you learned something new, please let me know by giving me the thumbs up and clicking that like button down below. And if you love all things Pocket 3, but also drones, action cameras, gimbals and more, then I recommend you check out my channel where I have a ton of other content to help you get better results with your camera gear. If you don't want to miss any of my upcoming videos, then please remember to click that subscribe button down below, and when you're down there, make sure to check the notification bell so that you will be alerted when my new videos are released. And if you want to stick around and watch a few more now, here's a few I personally recommend. I'll not keep you back any further. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you over there.